Hi everyone, welcome back to the Planet video series. It's time for the first draft. So you've been building up to writing a full-fledged story. You've had the source list, you've been doing a lot of reporting, you have a news brief, which is really a story, but it's not the fully expanded sort of magazine style story that we're going to be looking for. Likewise for the video and for the photo essay, you guys have been building up, but you haven't really tried to do the full meal. So this is your first shot at that. So I've created 3 separate videos, one for writers, one for photographers, and one for videographers. But this introduction is going to be the same for everybody. So I want to go over just a few of the essentials and then some common weaknesses that I see so that you can try to work to address those. So the essentials. For writers, your story is going to be about 900 words long. You should have at least 3 human sources and 3 document sources in your story. It should have a setting, it should have a clear focus, and it should be perfect in terms of the mechanics, grammar, spelling, AP style, things like that. Photographers, you should have 6 to 8 strong photos that all connect together as a story, and you should have a text that goes along with it that's 200 to 500 words long. You should have at least 1 human source in that photo essay. Videographers, you're going to be creating a video plan, which includes a script of the story and a spreadsheet that breaks down scene by scene how that script is going to be told in visuals. Okay, so the first draft is the most important part of the first draft is your sources. What you've really been doing up to this point is reporting, trying to gather your sources together. And having good sources is going to be the cornerstone of having a good first draft. There's a little bit less emphasis in the first draft on writing technique. What we're really looking for is how's your reporting going, and is your story coming together into a complete story? So sources, sources, sources. For photographers, obviously, you're also going to want to have strong images. And for videographers, you should be starting to get a sense of what's going to make for strong images. Okay, other things, writing technique. Yeah, you like the train. I think we're going to be interrupted here in a minute, but bear with me. Okay, writing technique is going to be important, and structure is going to be important. Those are some things that are really going to help your first draft be a strong draft. So what are some common weaknesses that I've seen in first drafts? I'll break it down into 2 different categories: reporting weaknesses and writing weaknesses. So in terms of reporting weaknesses, one of the fundamental weaknesses that I'll see is a lack of adequate facts. So there's going to be some kind of gaps that's going to leave a reader feeling like they're missing some kind of critical information for understanding the story. So you really want to have your basic facts lined up. Those facts are going to depend on what your story is, but you don't want to have big gaps. Okay, so facts. Another thing that I'll see is a lack of crucial voices in the story. So stakeholders that are missing in the sources, and inevitably that's going to happen a little bit with first drafts because you're still doing your reporting, so you might still be waiting to arrange an interview, but I want to see evidence that you're trying to fill all of the different voices that you really need to have a complete story. And then another thing that I see missing is a setting. Now, you might not be able to go visit the places that you're reporting on given the lockdown, but you should still have a specific place where action is happening. Okay, so those are some of the main reporting weaknesses that I have. In terms of writing weaknesses, there's 4 that I want to talk about. One is jargon. So one of your major jobs as a reporter is to translate from technical information into language that people can understand and that they find interesting. And often what I see is that jargon, technical language that's used by scientists or economists or politicians, all kinds of fields have jargon. specific words that they use that normal people wouldn't use in normal conversation. You're trying to translate into normal conversation. And you should think about it like this. You should think about writing for, let's say, a high schooler or a parent or someone like that who has basic scientific understanding of things, but really does not understand the complexities of the fields that you're writing about. They should be able to understand it without needing long definitions or without having to go look up what a word means. So jargon, you really want to watch for that. Another thing that I see is fluff. And what I mean by that is writing that seems to go on longer than it needs to. It's often filled with adverbs and adjectives and other kinds of things that really, sometimes those things are helpful, but a little bit can go a long way. And my sense often is that when I see that, it's because a reporter is essentially trying to get to 900 words when they don't have 900 words worth of facts for their story. And so that comes back to good reporting and lots of reporting. Fluff. Another related thing is opinion. This can be really a challenge for people, I think, particularly because in academic writing, you're often told to have an opinion and, state your case. For our journalism, we're really working to not do that. We're really working to sort of stick to the facts and tell people the facts and sort of the true story as we've seen it. But I think it's happening for two reasons. One is because people just reflexively want to include their opinion. They don't even realize when they're doing it. And the other thing is that it's a lack of reporting in the same way that fluff is. I think people often, if they don't have the facts, they try to resort to opinion instead. And that comes in the form of sort of sweeping statements about the nature of something that either is not based on quotes from sources or isn't based on hard facts. Opinion is fine if it's coming from your sources. That's one of the role that sources play, is that they offer their opinion about what's happening, but it shouldn't be coming from the reporter. Okay. And then the last thing that I see is lack of organization. Sometimes I'll read first drafts and it feels like somebody sort of dumped their notebook onto the page and didn't really think ahead about how to arrange their story in a clear way. And that lack of organization, frankly, I think it often comes from people trying to do their story at the last minute. You should really give yourself 3 or 4 days to write this. Writing is a long process. It involves multiple steps. You're going to have to go back over through your story a number of times. You're also going to want to map it out in advance. So I think lack of organization often is because people don't give themselves enough time. Now, there's going to be a couple of other videos that you're going to be able to view in the week leading up to the final draft, first draft. Don't want to get you scared. Okay, first draft that will spell out how to think about structure and organization, and also writing techniques to improve the writing quality in your story. So there is more guidance and help coming from me, and of course there's going to be a lot of help coming from your editors.
All right, videographers, while everyone else is off doing a first draft, you will be doing what's called a video plan, and then your first major complete draft is going to be due as the next assignment. All right, so what is a video plan? Let's take a look. This is the Canvas page for that assignment. Please take your time to look at it. For this video, I am not going to talk about footnoting. That will be a separate video. So very briefly, there's two major things that you should be looking at. One is the video plan template. That goes through in detail what your video plan should look like. And then this is the multimedia rubric. This spells out the grading for each of your drafts. Let's start out by taking a look at the rubric. All right, this is the rubric broken down in a spreadsheet: first draft, second draft, third draft. You can see the categories. sourcing, visual, sound, structure, etc. And then right here is a description of what is expected in that category for the grade for each draft. So 2 human sources for your first draft, 3 human sources second draft, etc. So please take the time to look at these in detail so that you understand what the expectations are. For the video plan assignment, there's 3 things that are expected. One is to have the header with your source information, 5 human sources, 5 written sources. So that's essentially your source list updated and stuck on top of the video plan. Second is a detailed written outline written in the form of a script for your video. So effectively a short script. That's 40%. And then third, an Excel spreadsheet with a detailed description of how the script will be represented visually, including B-roll and visual sequences to accompany the written outline. Your script should be as complete as you can make it. So it should have a beginning, a middle, and an end. It should have a complete story to it. Let's take a look at that. So we've looked at the rubric. Now we're going to look at the template. The top of this template should look familiar. Here are details on how to do it. Figure out the structure, write an outline like a basic news story, place it into an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, we're going to go down here. Source list at the top. Going further down, here is your outline. Here's an example of it. Notice that it reads like a news story. In 2014, a major landslide in Osa, Washington killed 43 people. Today, a high school in the neighboring town of Darrington is teaming up with a science, math, and tech school in Redmond to provide affected students with educational opportunities. So these are the basics. I'm going to go down a little further. Now what you want to do is you want to use a spreadsheet to break down the text of that script into what the visual components are going to be that go with it. So you can see here, here's the first sentence in the script. Here's a description of what visual you're going to use. This is a plan for how you're going to get that visual. And then inspiration basically demonstrates what you think it might look like. You want to do that for each section of your script. Now, this example only shows 2 sections. That is just because I didn't want to take up your time with breaking down every single part of the script. But for you, your assignment should break down every single part and include a description of this. So that's what the video plan